Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan. Today we're doing the bookshelf tour. I'm very excited about this. I've actually already filmed all the tour and I realized it's too long. So instead of doing one big tour, I'm going to have 6 shorter but not that short videos that cover different sections of my bookcases. So almost like mini bookshelf tours, although they're not that short. And they're going to be themed. So each bookshelf tour will have a theme written on it. There will be a total of 6. I will link to all of them in the description, and you can find the ones that you want to look at and spend more time on the ones that you're interested in and less time on the ones that you don't care about. But I'm very excited about this. If you see something today that you like or that you want to hear more about, let me know, because I'm happy to go more in depth with the books that I have. I've collected these over the years. I enjoy the collection I have. I think it's unlike a lot of what you're going to see on BookTube. Certainly different themes and different flavor. So enjoy the video, and I will see you at the end. Next shelf is starting into kind of the business, finance, economics area. This shelf specifically is about the Securities and Exchange Commission, securities markets, and securities market regulation. So you have here the Series 7 study book, a book about federal securities laws, running the world's markets, a book about the SEC, a book about different hearings on the Hill at the Capitol after the stock market crash in 1929. Another book by a former commissioner of the SEC, a book about securities law from a course that I audited, one of the kind of thick books about the SEC that ends in 2003. So there's a lot that's happened since that one, but it really covers the first 60 years or so. Another book that's very close to this, but probably a little more digestible and certainly quicker to read, a book by a former director at the SEC, also former enforcement official at the SEC, former CEO of NASDAQ, more books about securities laws and changes, another book about the SEC, a book about markets, another book about the SEC and enforcement cases. First edition of this book, and actually has a letter from Seligman to a professor in the DC area. Sarbanes-Oxley for Dummies, signed by the late Senator Paul Sarbanes and the late Representative Mike Oxley. SEC Speaks, which is just a group of speeches that were given at an event. A book called Understand the Securities Act and the SEC. It's from, I think, the 40s or 50s, but it's signed. The Watchdogs of Wall Street, which is really about enforcement cases. And then this book is about, is kind of about investing and retirement savings, but it's by a former chairman of the SEC. This is about the part of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act that created the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which is a place that I worked. And then I have 2 bears. The mascot for my college was the bears. This bear is made out of tusk from a walrus, and it was done by natives in Alaska. That's where I bought it. And then this is done by Native Americans in New Mexico. Another bear. And I don't know what kind of stone that is. And this shelf is kind of the law / regulations / government actions shelf. Before we get to the books, this is a gourd for mate. They drink that in Uruguay. And also my great-grandfather's watch. So you have international law, national security court system, which was written by a professor that I had. Act of Congress. This was about the Dodd-Frank Act. This one's the Myth of Independence, which is about the Federal Reserve, but I had it signed by 2 people from the SEC who were commissioners that worked on the committee, and their heads are actually on the cover there. Tower Basel is about the Bank for National Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. Then you have Advise and Dissent, The Alchemist. There's a number of books here that are about the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank for the United States. This book is by the Bank of England, former governor of the Bank of England, Mervyn King. This is about the FDIC. This is about an organization that was created to deal with financial crisis and the fallout of the wrongdoing. about the Fed. All this was done by somebody from the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, I believe. This is about white-collar crime. This is the uncut version of white-collar crime by Yale University Press that is based off of the typescript that I showed you below. This is by former Secretary of Treasury Hank Paulson. It's signed, and it's about the financial crisis. This is about the government of Connecticut, where I had an internship when I was in college. This is about federal spending, but the cool thing about this book, I like the book, but that's the kind of ship I was on. And look, it's just on the cover there for a little reason. More stuff about the Federal Reserve, financial crisis, 2010. White collar crime. This is the censored version of it. This one's from 1962, but it's basically the same thing as the one from 1949. White collar and corporate crime. Just more stuff about white collar crime. More Fed stuff. This is a book by Edwin Sutherland. This is a book that consolidated a lot of his papers and a lot of his thoughts. Edwin Sutherland's thoughts. He's the author of White Collar Crime. And then this is a book about Edwin Sutherland by David Fredericks, who has been very helpful as I've researched Edwin Sutherland. And then finally we have the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. My top shelf in this section is really based on digital currency, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and some tech stuff, but also things that don't fit anywhere else. Really, it's kind of other things that I can't find other places for, and it's a little bit taller, so some of my taller books will fit there. Blockchain and the law, cryptocurrency, the age of cryptocurrency, digital currency, Bad Blood, which is about Theranos, When the Wolves Bite, Truth Machine, which is about blockchain, Other People's Money, Complacent Class by Tyler Cowen, which I believe is signed. I have that one signed. Capitalism by Blender. On this shelf I have Warwick Davis from his website, and there's a signed card on the inside. Warwick Davis, limited edition to 50. Wildcat Currency, Burning Down the House, Stubborn Attachments. You'll see this message when it is too late. That's a longer title. Kickback, Billion Dollar Whale, Spider Network, The Secret Club That Runs the World, Digital Gold. This was actually my first Bitcoin cryptocurrency book. And I got it with money from my wife's family for my birthday or Christmas. Virtual Billions, Blockchain Revolution, which is signed, Bankers, Builders, Knaves, and Thieves. Bitcoin for Dummies, Bitcoin for the Befuddled, Mastering Bitcoin, Blockchain, The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, Road to Serfdom, which is by F.A. Hayek. The Book of Satoshi, which is really just his white paper bound with, I think, some commentary. Internet of Money, Internet of Money 2, Internet of Money 3, Digital Cash, Attack of the 50-Foot Blockchain, The Great Stagnation, and The Reckoning. This shelf is just kind of paperbacks that fit, although there's kind of a theme, but not really. It's a lot of financial crisis and a lot of Michael Lewis stuff too. That's my daughter, so her picture's on this shelf. There's also a raccoon playing a banjo. Okay, so on this shelf we have The Lost Bank, which is about Washington Mutual, Al Ferguson, The Great Degeneration, Fragile by Design, The End of Wall Street, All the Devils Are Here by Bethany McLean, who I enjoy. A book about Andrew Carnegie. Currency Wars, You Can Be a Stock Market Genius. Chocolate Wars, Infectious Greed. Random Walk Down Wall Street. Soccernomics, which goes into the economics of FIFA, soccer, and kind of the waste that goes into it. It's eye-opening. Reckless Endangerment, Michael Lewis, Liar's Poker, Flash Boys, The Big Short, and Boomerang, The Triumph of Injustice, The Last Tycoon, Milton Friedman's Capitalism and Freedom, Dark Pools, The Informant, The Quants, When Genius Failed, which is about long-term capital management, Greatest Trade Ever, Freedom to Choose, which is another Milton Friedman with his wife Rose, House of Cards, Predator Nation, Crash of the Titans, Tulipomania, which is about the tulip bubble in the Netherlands, 1600s, Why Nations Fail, Fable of the Bees, Orbiting the Giant Hairball, and a Guide to Business, an old one. This shelf is kind of random too. It's really what fits, but these are the larger books. We have Love, Money, and Parenting, which is kind of a different look at finance through the eyes of parents. Secrecy World, which I think has a new name, Laundry something, but it started out as Secrecy World. 13 Bankers, The Third Pillar, Exorbitant Privilege, The Ice Pick Surgeon, which I just got, Inequity and Instability, which I'm 17% of the way through. I had to stop. It's a little dry. Makers and Takers, Octopus by Guy Lawson. This was recommended by the guy who wrote this book. So I asked him if he had any recommendations, and this was the book that he recommended first. Inside Money, The Great Mutual Fund Trap, Crashed, Spouseonomics, which is going to be an interesting read. I haven't read that yet. Never Split the Difference, Lying for Money, which I really enjoyed, by Dan Davis, who's in the UK. It looks like Davies. Kleptopia, The Chicken Shit Club, Jennifer Taub's Big Dirty Money. This book is what made me start looking into white collar crime, the book, and eventually led to me buying that TypeScript that I showed you. Dear Chairman, Hockey Tonk, which is really about the creation of the National Predators from a business point of view. Other People's Houses, Flash Boys Not So Fast. This is actually kind of a response to Michael Lewis's Flash Boys. I think well informed. Financial Shock, Something for Nothing, which is signed. Simply Said, Too Big to Fail, which is also a HBO movie. Fool's Gold, More Money Than God, The Price of Inequality, and Business Adventures. This is kind of my interesting way of thinking about things shelf / game theory / behavioral economics shelf. So it starts with Michael Lewis's The Undoing Project, which really talks about Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. Eugene Solt's Why They Do It, who also discusses white collar crime and Edwin Sutherland book. That's signed. The Republic of Beliefs is signed. Adaptive Markets by Andrew Lowe is signed. I really enjoyed that book. Narrative Economics by Robert Schiller is signed. Crisis of Beliefs was a very interesting look. Fooled by Randomness. John Coates' The Hour Between Dog and Wolf is one that I really enjoyed. This is Women of the Street by Meredith Jones. And the thing I liked it, but the thing I liked about this is I had it signed to my daughter, Noelia. Welcome to the broad market. Can't wait to see you start investing, Meredith Jones. This is before I really told anybody else what Noelia's name was, so she got to hear about it first so she could sign the book. But this is really, I guess, Noelia's book, my daughter's book. Although she's 3 years old, so she's not reading it yet. The Inner Lives of Markets. Noise, which is Daniel Kahneman's newest book. I just finished this. It was a long read. I actually enjoyed it the more I got into it, but it was slow at first for me. Identity Economics, Animal Spirits, signed. Uncommon Sense, WTF, An Economic Tour of the Weird by Leeson, who also did this book over here, The Invisible Hook, which was the economics of pirates. Better, Not Perfect by Max Bozerman. Blind Spots by Max Bozerman, who I met. Company of Strangers, which I really liked. The Invisible Hook, which is kind of a play on the invisible hand, guiding the markets. Think Like a Freak, which is part of the Freakonomics kind of series. This one's signed. Nudge by Robert Thaler and Cass Sunstein. Cass also wrote Noise. Misbehaving by Richard Thaler. Thinking Fast and Slow, which I spilled a lot of soy sauce on at a sushi place, and I wrote a little note in there about that. Mean Genes, Cool. Game Theory, the revised edition from 1983. Super Freakonomics, Who Gets What and Why by Alvin Roth. The Invisible Gorilla, and I actually contacted these guys to discuss some stuff related to the Sheets proposal in our neighborhood, and they were very helpful. Freakonomics, Irrational Exuberance, signed, I think. Yeah, it's signed. Basically Irrational, Wisdom of the Crowds, and The Black Swan. I also remembered that I didn't show you my banjo playing spoon fork frog or the banjo playing metal dude. And now we're here with another banjo playing horseshoe guy. This is kind of my... It has some themes. It talks about Madoff. It talks about Enron. It has some first-hand accounts of different things. And it's really kind of like my first-person view on stuff, I think. This one is A License to Steal, and it's by Ben Stein of When Ben Stein Money, and it's signed. It's about the king of junk bonds, Michael Milken. Wizard of Lies is about Bernie Madoff, and it was written by Diane Henricks, and she signed it. Very nice person. She also did A First Class Catastrophe, which is about crash in 87. Black Edge, Hedgehogs, The Greatest Ever Bank Robbery, which is about the savings and loan crisis. Actually, somebody I worked for a while ago, her articles are included in there. Trading Secrets, about some insider trading that a member of the press did. Madoff Talks, I just got that. Street Freak by Jared Dillian. He went to the Coast Guard Academy. He was 10 years ahead of me, but he worked at Lehman Brothers, and this is about his time there. Confessions of Wall Street Insider, Fooling Some of the People All the Time. Marco Polis's No One Would Listen, which is about Madoff. Circle of Friends, Sex and Money, Conspiracy of Fools, which is about Enron. The Wolf of Wall Street, which I'm not a fan of, but I have the book. I have both of his books. Billionaire's Apprentice, Unauthorized Progress, which is from a guy who went to the Coast Guard Academy and retired from the Coast Guard, Jeff Abbott, which I really liked his approach in that book. What I Learned, Losing $1 Million. Confessions of a Stockbroker by Brutus. It's actually by the same guy who did Sex and Money, but he didn't want to give his real name when he wrote this. I love this book. It is not a bad book. It's really informative. It's so well done. I loved it, and it was not easy to find, but it's an older book, but very cool. Power Failure is about Enron. Confessions of a Wall Street Insider, not the same one as the other one. This one's older. It's actually by Playboy Press. Den of Thieves, Smartest Guys in the Room, which is about Enron. Barbarians at the Gate, about the fall of RJR Nabisco. Byside, Catching the Wolf of Wall Street. I read Byside on our honeymoon. Catching the Wolf of Wall Street. Betrayal, which is about Madoff. 5 Lessons a Millionaire Taught Me. And Predator's Ball, which is also about Milken. Next is a shelf that kind of just has some interesting business, finance, economics stories of individuals. So we have The Next Convergence, The Hour at Fate, which is about J.P. Morgan meeting with Theodore Roosevelt. Then we have Flash Crash, Dark Towers, What Money Can't Buy, Circus Maximus, Shifts and Shocks, New Tycoons, AIG Story, which is signed, Stock Investing for Dummies, History of the United States and 5 Crashes, In the Black, Manias, Panics, and Crashes, Inside the Black Box, Nerds of Wall Street, Men Who Love Trains, The Ascent of Money, 30-Second Economics, Empire of Deception, Crowdfunding Handbook, Saving Capitalism from the Capitalist, which is signed, Titan, which is about Rockefeller, Devil Take the Hindmost, The House of Morgan, which is about J.P. Morgan, The Economics of the Undead, Capitol Hill's Criminal Underground, Guaranteed to Fail, The Ponzi Scheme, How Not to Get Rich, Shortfall, The Match King, Being Consumed, Economics and Christian Desire, and Ponzi's Scheme. And then the final economics, finance, business, whatever shelf is a lot of it's based off of what would fit. There are some accounting books down here, but there's also some really big, thick books and books that were too tall to fit elsewhere. So some of it's just what would fit. You have the global economy, the world's banker, which is the history of the House of Rothschild, hypercapitalism, the general theory of employment, interest, and money. The Reckoning, this time is different. Freaks of Fortune, The Mystery of Capital, Investor's Paradox, Make Your Kid a Money Genius, even if you're not, which I'll use someday, but I'd say a 3-year-old probably doesn't need to know that yet. Americana, not to be confused with the other one. So if you go to the bookstore and you're looking for this Americana, you may get the other one, which is not about economics. Narconomics, The Real Crash, Capitalism for the People, signed. The Big Four, which is about accounting firms. Bean Counters, which is about accounting firms. The Great Deformation, Fear City, which is about New York City in the 70s, I believe, or 60s. Capitalism Without Capital, Total Money Makeover, The Dollar Trap, Finance and Investment Handbook, The End of Accounting, Smoke and Mirrors Incorporated, Auditing for Dummies, Inside Arthur Anderson, The Wall Street Journal, Complete Money and Investing Guide, Finance and Accounting for the Non-Financial Managers, Financial Accounting, and another investment terms guide at the end, which is more of a mobile version of the large book that I have. Well, you made it to the end. Thank you for watching that mini bookshelf tour, and I'm going to include a link to the next bookshelf tour. It's either up here or up here. I don't know where it's going to pop up, but that'll be a post-production thing. Thanks for coming and watching this one, and check out the other ones I have to get a better feel for all the books that I have. And then if you see anything that you want to know more about, you want a closer look at, you have any questions about, please let me know. I'm happy to answer those questions. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that.